Excuse the stocking cap hair, but it's cold weather again. So, sat down here just as soon as I could here to talk about the BAFTA Awards. This was, what the hell was it? The 78th BAFTA Awards today. And, man, a few things we talked about happening in the last video, like things that just don't really happen at BAFTA that often. Two of those things happened here today. Not only did we get Best Film and Best British Film lining up, we also had the Director and Picture, or Best Film in this case, they also split, which is, again, first time that's happened in quite some time. So, yeah, let's go ahead and run through here. Conclave, though, which did lead nominations here, it had 12 film nominations from BAFTA. That one actually tied with The Brutalist for most wins today. It picked up Best Film, Best British Film, picked up Best Adapted Screenplay, and it picked up Best Editing. The Brutalist, meanwhile, won for its directing, Brady Corbett. Also won for Best Lead Actor, Adrian Brody, Cinematography, and Best Original Score. Otherwise, we did have Mikey Madison for Anora, kind of in a little bit of an upset there in Best Actress. Anora also picked up an award for its casting. For other multiple winners here, you had A Real Pain pick up Supporting Actor for Kieran Culkin. I didn't have that one right. And I really didn't have this one right. Original Screenplay also went to A Real Pain. Really off the radar pick there. Zoe Saldana won for Supporting Actress. We also saw that one pick up Best Film Not in the English Language. Even Wallace and Gromit happened to pick up the Animated Feature category and the Children's category, which we talked a little bit about because there was a little unsuredness on Animated Feature here at BAFTA this year. Otherwise, down in the tech categories, Wicked did pick up both the design categories for costume and production design, and I think the only other one we had was Dune Part 2, picked up Best Sound and Best Visual Effects. So that's your multiple winners and stuff. So we'll go through the categories here. This was not a great performance for me. I had just barely over 50% of the categories right. So, kind of like the Globes this year. It's like, really, really not a good show here. But let's talk about what we got right, what we got wrong, and what it all means. Maybe. For Best Film, Conclave. Conclave did win this. It was the most nominated film. It is something that we were kind of, at least name-checking this one as a possible upset pick here in Best Picture. But again, with the European sensibilities and stuff, I thought The Brutalist was going to be ahead of it. And I thought with Anora really having a strong weekend last weekend, I thought, there might be enough sentiment that enough British voters actually pick that up. And maybe they also really, really like Anora more than maybe some of us had suspected in the last few weeks. Turned out both those were incorrect, and they do like Conclave. Is this enough now to throw Anora off of the track for Best Picture? I'm going to say right now, no. I think with Conclave winning here today, I think this is more a British thing. It's kind of similar. Not dissimilar, I guess is the better way to phrase it, from a couple years ago, where BAFTA got, I think, only one of the top 8 categories correct. Now, last year, they lined up in the top 8 categories 8 for 8. They drilled the acting categories, they got the screenplay categories right, director and picture they got right. The year before, though, they had Best Film wrong. They had Best Director wrong. Both of those went to All Quiet on the Western Front. They got Austin Butler for Best Actor. He did not win. They went with Cate Blanchett for Best Actress. She did not win. Barry Keoghan won for Supporting Actor. He did not win. Carrie Condon won for Supporting Actress. She did not win. Adapted Screenplay went to All Quiet on the Western Front. That, I believe, did not win. And Original Screenplay went to Banshees of Inisherin. That also did not win. So they went 0 for 8. I thought they at least had one of the screenplay categories right, but no, that does remind. What did win for Adapted Screenplay that year? Oh, geez. I'm forgetting. It wasn't All Quiet on the Western Front. I do remember that. But, geez Louise, why can't I remember now? Hold on a second. Jesus, why can't I remember? This was a while ago, but, hang on. I'll find it here. Jesus, what the hell was it? American Fiction was last year. Oh, Women Talking won. That's right. Yeah, Women Talking picked this one up at the Oscars. But yeah, Women Talking, that was kind of getting the nomination was kind of the big hurdle, and then it ended up, we ended up giving it the win as well that year at the Oscars. But anyhow. Because yeah, when you look at this, what could happen at the Oscars, outside of the supporting acting races, now I think with Kieran Culkin and Zoe Saldana, without getting too far ahead here, I think with those two winning here today, that almost feels like, especially for supporting actor, that's a rubber stamp moment. Now it's like, yep, Kieran Culkin, I don't see him losing. Even if he happens to drop SAG, I don't think he's going to lose the Oscar now. He's built up so much momentum, even with A Real Pain, which was set in Europe. We had talked about that a little bit. And it actually, obviously overperformed here with a win in its screenplay prize as well. With that, this shows that I really don't see anything that's going to derail Kieran Culkin from winning this, even with all the stuff with the Broadway stuff with Glengarry Glen Ross, and there were some slight concerns about that from some people, but he's got it in the bag. Zoe, even if she loses SAG, I think again she's built up enough momentum here that she'll probably go on to win the Oscar. And again, it is a spot where yes, Emilia Perez does have some backlash to it and everything. There's even some people today that are not happy with Jacques Audiard thanking Carlos Villagascon in his acceptance speech when the film won for Best International Feature. But even with all that, again, Zoe seems to not be being affected by it as much. So it almost, again, feels like a near rubber stamp moment there for supporting actress. I really am struggling to see if Ariana Grande can't upset her anywhere other than SAG, which, again, might happen way too late. And it might also be a benefactor of the fact that Wicked really overperformed at SAG. I just don't really see a scenario for Zoe to lose right now. But with Conclave, okay, at the Oscars, even though, yes, it is missing Best Director, which in the last few years we have seen both Green Book and Coda win Best Picture without the director nominated, this does feel like, okay, at the moment, when we explain both of those, Green Book, yes, did have some stuff to its name. It had the win its wins at the Golden Globes. It had the PGA win, which was massive. Then it kind of went quiet for a while, and then kind of, in an upset bid, did win Best Picture, which some people had predicted it, that is true, but it was not the favorite going into Oscar night. And then Coda, meanwhile, was a little bit more predictable because we did see that guild turn where it won PGA, it won WGA, as I recall. It started coming back and started winning some significant awards. One at SAG, for example, for ensemble and everything. So that one, it felt like, it was a more noticeable shift. Right now with Conclave has not only lost quite a few categories, like it lost quite a few at the Golden Globes. It did pick up a win for screenplay. It lost some major categories there for the Critics' Choice, which, yes, again, it did pick up Adapted Screenplay and it did pick up the Ensemble Prize. But, again, it wasn't like with, if they weren't going to go with Brady Corbett and Director, they also did not go with Edward Berger for Best Director, though, which if he had won there and then maybe, this had happened today, then we would have said, okay, so maybe Conclave can stick around a little bit. But right now, just based off of the vote today, even though, yes, I think this would have been an even more quick thing to dismiss if, say, Ralph Fiennes had won Best Actor. Let's say also that, like, Isabella Rossellini had put up an upset bid and won in Supporting Actress. And let's say it also won, like, the casting category or something. Or, obviously, another one would have been Best Director. If it had won, really, any of those or all of those, then yes, I think this would be a lot easier to dismiss. It'd be like, nope, it's just a BAFTA thing. They just really, really, really liked Conclave. And the British group of voters, they'll probably put Conclave pretty high. But, again, is it going to be enough for Anora to offset at the Oscars? And I think we would have probably said, lean more toward yes. But the fact that they were, the British voters were divisive enough to say, okay, well, we still like Brady Corbett in Director. We still like Adrian Brody in Lead Actor. We still like Anora for Cast and a few of the other tech categories and stuff. Like I had Conclave also winning for its score. It did not win there. They went with The Brutalist. The fact that they did kind of split enough votes there and did, divvy up the awards just enough to where you didn't see Conclave kind of go on a little bit of a tear there as far as this number of wins, that does kind of give me just a little bit of pause. But again, I'm probably going to lean more toward this is just a BAFTA thing. I don't think Conclave up to this point in the guilds has really won enough to really convince me that it's going to start coming back for a win. The only other thing that would really give me pause is if it does next weekend win at SAG Ensemble, which it would be really, that would be a real turning point. It'd also be a little strange considering that Conclave was beat out at PGA and was also beat out at DGA, both by Sean Baker and Anora. So it's, it would just be, it's just a little strange right now, but I don't think there's enough momentum here to shift to tell me that Conclave is going to win for Best Picture at the moment. Best Director, though, Brady Corbett won here for The Brutalist. Again, even though Sean Baker, yes, his film does have some European sensibilities, and I still think right now he still is the front runner to win since he picked up DGA, which was a massive, massive flip the race on its head kind of turn at DGA. I think this is, again, a British thing, and Brady, he'll definitely get votes at the Oscars. I don't quite see him getting the upset bid. Now, who knows? We could be wrong. And again, the vote for Oscar voting and stuff, all that stuff is, God, I can't remember. It's underway now, or it's about to be underway. So I know a lot of people were like, okay, well, that means, the BAFTA votes are going to be more significant this year than the SAG votes, which is true. That's true. The SAG winners are not going to be announced until after Oscar voting is over. But in this one particular category, even though Anora seems to have a lot of industry support, again, based off its DGA and PGA wins, this is, again, another spot where I think the European sensibility stuff, I think Brady was just going to overpower Sean in this case. So this is another one where I'm like, I don't see this one being a win that BAFTA takes over on. For Best Actor, though, Adrian Brody, we had this one correct as well. I think this is, again, this was really the spot where if Adrian was going to lose the Oscar, he probably would have lost today to Ralph Fiennes or possibly even Timothée Chalamet, who, complete unknown, again, just really did not have an obvious spot to give an award here today at BAFTA. So, yeah, I think, again, I would say let's still say Timothée Chalamet. I think he's still the favorite to win at SAG right now for Best Actor, but I don't know if enough of that support is going to be enough for him to overtake Adrian when we do get to the Oscars in just a few weeks. Though, Best Actress, though, Mikey Madison winning here, this does make the race just a little bit more interesting because, once again, let's point this out. Demi Moore, The Substance didn't have as strong a performance here at BAFTA as it had at other award shows, which was one thing to consider. The other thing, too, Mikey Madison, her film is up for Best Film here. It's up for Best Director and everything. Let's also not forget that Anora is up for SAG Ensemble. The Substance is not. So I think all eyes now kind of turn to SAG. Now it's like, okay, if SAG also puts Mikey Madison down, that makes me think, okay, she probably then might just jump ahead in Best Actress. Now, the thing we have to remember, too, is that when you go back through the years, your Best Picture winner, not always, but traditionally also took along an acting win. One of the more surprising ones I always go back to, like that was a kind of an upset bid, was Juliette Binoche winning for The English Patient for supporting actress, when it felt like Mirwit Had Two Faces, actress, I can't remember her name, where she was like the front runner to win that. But that doesn't always happen. Like exactly the next year, very early on, a lot of people were predicting Gloria Stewart to win for Titanic, and Titanic, maybe it wouldn't have had as big a sweep as it had. The early predictions, I don't think, coming in were like that enthusiastic about it. I don't think anybody was immediately calling that it was going to win 9, 10, 11 Oscars, but a lot of people thought it was the Best Picture front runner. And they thought Gloria Stewart, she'll go along for the ride. She's a 90-something-year-old actress or 80-year-old 80-year-old actress and everything. It's like, yeah, she'll probably win. And it's, as David Letterman pointed out on his show, it's like nobody wants to see a picture of her at the Oscars, on their TV and see her losing. But then again, it was Lauren Bacall. Lauren Bacall, yes. The year before, Lauren Bacall, they put her in that exact same situation when Juliette Binoche beat her out. And then, for Titanic, which, yes, very easily could have picked up that award, and very easily could have taken along an acting award with its 11 other Oscars, nope, they go with Kim Basinger for L.A. Confidential. But otherwise, just going through it really quick, the rest of the 90s, the other two Best Picture winners also had acting wins. Gladiator, you had Russell Crowe pick up a win. Connelly, Jennifer Connelly, sorry. I knew it was a J. Jennifer Connelly, she won for Beautiful Mind. Chicago picked up one for Catherine Zeta-Jones. Lord of the Rings did not, but they didn't have any acting nominees. Let's see here. $1 Million Baby picked up a couple of acting awards. Crash did not. They had a couple of nominations, though. That is true. Keep going here. Departed had one nomination for Mark Wahlberg. He did not win. No Country for Old Men picked up Javier Bardem. Slumdog Millionaire had no nominees, so that couldn't pick up anything. Hurt Locker had won? Yeah, Jeremy Renner was nominated, but he didn't win. Let's keep going here. King's Speech picked up Colin Firth. The artist even picked up the lead guy, whose name is again escaping me right now. He also won BAFTA, by the way, that year. So some of these wins, if we're looking at them too, if we look a little closer, some of these wins are in cases where the potential winner is not quite rubber stamped. Some of them. But like, Gwyneth Paltrow, for example, she was presumably the front runner, and she, did end up picking up Best Actress. Let's see here. I'm trying to think who else through that bunch we just named. I think Russell Crowe. I don't think Russell lost way too much, did he, on the lead up to the win for Gladiator? I don't think he lost way too many awards. He might have lost SAG or something that year, but I don't have all that info off the top of my head or anything. But anyways, with Mikey, though, she is not really, again, at the moment, the front runner. She hasn't consistently been winning everything. She's won her fair share of critics' prizes, but seemingly to me, at all the televised awards so far, has been winning. It's just really going to be a little bit of back and forth for me here in the next week, though, between now and next Sunday for SAG, though, who I want to go with. Because I don't want to just pick both Mikey and Timothée and have, both of them picked just because both of them got in for ensemble. That doesn't always work out. It's a good sign, and it's a good show of support, but it doesn't always mean you're automatically going to win that category that you're nominated for if your ensemble is also up. So, I just, again, I'll just have to, consider it a little bit back and forth. But anyways, we talked about the two supporting categories, Kieran Culkin. I did have Guy Pearce. I had Guy Pearce down to win for The Brutalist. But yeah, Kieran's win here today and the film's win for screenplay, did show that, they still quite like the movie enough, even if they didn't love it in a lot of other categories. I think, again, Kieran is very safe for supporting actor. And Zoe, again, I don't, even with an Ariana Grande upset bid, if she happens to pull it off at SAG next week, I don't think that's going to be enough for me to turn it and for me to pick her at the Oscars. Original screenplay, though, boy, this is kind of like 2018. Remember, at 2018, every other ceremony seemed to pick a different winner for Best Original Screenplay. Let's include us, because WGA was last night. They did go with Anora for Original Screenplay. That was the first time Anora had won the Screenplay Prize this year at one of these major ceremonies. Because at Critics' Choice, they went with The Substance. At Globes, where all the screenplays thrown together, they went with Conclave. And here at BAFTA, they go with A Real Pain, which is like, oh boy, there's just no real symmetry here. It's just there's no general consistent winner here. On the adapted screenplay side, we do have Conclave winning there, and I think, again, if it had been eligible for WGA, I think it would have won as well. Instead, they went with Nickel Boys. And everything. And, so with that, Conclave feels very locked up also for adapted screenplay. That's another rubber stamp it. Go ahead and preordain it. With original screenplay, boy, it's really going to be interesting because I think at this point you've got The Substance, Anora, and A Real Pain are all in a spot where they can win because they have previous wins. And we can't go back because, like 2018, to draw that comparison, that year at the Globes we had Green Book win. Critics' Choice went with First Reformed, which was Paul Schrader's film, which was not consistently nominated through the rest of the nominations there. And then, let's see, the WGA went with Eighth Grade, which ended up being a non-Oscar nominee. I gotta remind myself here. What did BAFTA go with? I don't think they went with Green. They definitely did not go with Green Book. They went with The Favorite for original screenplay that year. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that sounds about right. Yeah. Anyhow, that being said, oh boy, I don't know. That really does not help us because I think we needed either Anora or the Substance to win here today to kind of shine a little bit more light onto this. Because with Anora, you can say, okay, this and WGA, shows that for the most part, the industry is behind Anora's script. Then with The Substance, it's like, okay, Critics' Choice picked it, and then it got picked again by BAFTA in a spot where BAFTA didn't really overly love The Substance and everything, especially if it had won Screenplay and still lost Best Actress. That would have been a case where it's like, oh, okay, so The Substance for Screenplay does feel like an even safer bet. But now with this, it's like, I don't know, you almost have to, throw a dart or like spin the wheel or something and just have it land on probably one of those three. I don't necessarily think with The Brutalist, if it was more in play to win Best Picture, like if it had won Best Film today and it kind of, again, really stepped back in as a potential spoiler for Anora, then I would say, okay, maybe The Brutalist has a slight chance to win because, again, outside of a couple of times in the last few years, the screenplay winner typically goes along with your Best Picture winner, which, if you go with those with that stat, you would probably say Anora still has the upper hand. But then again, there's been several spots this year, including today at BAFTA, where it felt like Anora arguably probably should have won, maybe not going away, but it should have won, and it didn't. And it's like, makes it a bit of a surprise when we get to it. And of course, we can't exactly line up with what happened in 2018, where they went back to Green Book, which eventually won the Oscar, because that was, in this case this year, it was an adapted screenplay that won the Globe. So we can't do that. So if we do go with that stat, though, we would still say Anora, because as it ended up, Green Book did win for Best Picture that year. So I don't know. But again, even though Anora, yes, it won. And again, it's really strange how none of these award shows really love to like give a lot of stuff to a particular film. They've really been splitting all through the year here. Brutalist has never really dominated any of these award shows. It didn't dominate at the Golden Globes. It didn't, sweep the supporting categories as well as winning the ones it did. Anora wins Best Film at the Critics' Choice, but loses every other category. And then, here at BAFTA today, you've got Conclave, get some wins here and there, but it didn't dominate. And The Brutalist, yes, it picks up some key wins, doesn't dominate. Anora picks up a couple key categories, still can't get some of those other screenplay, like the screenplay category as an example. It's like, it just makes that one just a little confusing. I'm really not sure what to do now. But if we just go with the chalk, kind of traditional thing here with like what some of the other shows have done in the last few years, particularly the Oscars, you would go with whatever you think is going to win Best Picture, which, based off the vote today, you would probably lean toward... Probably still lean toward Anora because of its PGA DGA wins, I would say. For Best Animated Feature, that went to Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, which is actually really, really good news for The Wild Robot. Because The Wild Robot, I think, if we're just thinking at, more recent stuff here with a big group of international voters and stuff, Flow felt like it probably should have won here today, and that was my pick to win. But with it losing here today, the fact that they did pick Wallace and Gromit does show that Flow is not unbeatable in this category. And Wild Robot, yes, did just have a huge, huge spread of wins at the Annie Awards. And it's, it's been doing pretty well at the rest of the guilds in the animated categories. So, in this case, we can, again, relatively quickly dismiss the Wallace and Gromit win today and say probably not going to carry over. Probably was a British thing, an Aardman thing, being, the home court advantage thing. That is my first thought. It's not, again, not a guarantee that Wild Robot will win, but I would still say right now, if you're the Wild Robot and your DreamWorks, you're like really excited because it's like, we didn't get beat by Flow at least. That's the big thing. Otherwise, film not in the English language, this did go to Emilia Perez, which I did put that one down. It'll just, again, we just really need to see where the Oscars go. I'm still thinking I'm Still Here does have a really good shot at winning at the Oscars, so I've got that one picked right now. And it's, again, just gonna see if some of the embers from all the controversies around Emilia Perez, if they're gonna spread enough to the point where Emilia Perez does not win for a film or international feature at the Oscars. The Casting Award went to Anora. This is one of the few times I've gotten this category right at BAFTA since they've introduced it. So really not way too much crosstalk on this one because, again, it's not going to carry over to the Oscars until next year. But winning a category like this, where Conclave was nominated and probably could have won in a spot where, again, Conclave got picked for Best British Film and Best Film, just really shows that, yeah, even the Brits are not solidly 100% behind any one of these contenders, I think, where, they're putting it into steamroll mode. Getting into the tech categories now. For Best Cinematography, The Brutalist won here. It lost at the Critics' Choice, which was a little interesting, but the win here today, I expect that The Brutalist is also going to repeat a win at the Cinematographers Guild, which I believe is next weekend. I would be a little surprised if they go with Nosferatu, which won at Critics' Choice, or if they went with someone else there, but I would probably say Brutalist is in the pole position there for that category. Editing went to Conclave. This one is going to be interesting because I didn't expect Anora to win here. I did have Conclave picked, and it was a category where The Brutalist wasn't here. The Brutalist could have won the category here today if it had been nominated, but I don't expect Conclave to repeat at the Oscars, though. I don't expect it to repeat here. So I think I have Anora picked right now to win the category. I think I'm going to stick with it until I get enough evidence to the contrary. But for now, yeah, I think editing is where I'm gonna keep that one with Anora. The design categories both went to Wicked, as we mentioned. So I got the costume design one right, and again, that's an easy rubber stamp one. I probably, with the Costume Designers Guild, also going with Wicked. I just don't really think that one is going to, I'm thinking of the art directors was last night. That's what I was thinking of, not the costume designers. The costume designers was a while back, and they did go with, for fantasy, yes, they did go with Wicked, though, for the record. So, yeah. Then production design also went to Wicked, and I hadn't realized this. Nathan Crowley actually has never won. He's the production designer for Wicked. He's also worked with, we looked at it here the other day, he's worked with Christopher Nolan quite a bit, worked with Damien Chazelle for at least First Man. I don't think, did he also work with him on La La Land? I don't think so. Yeah, because I think he would have been, I don't see him as a nominee there for La La Land, so yeah, I don't think he worked on that. But anyways, yeah, and I think a win here, I had The Brutalist down to win. I think if The Brutalist was going to win here, win at the Oscars, it had to win here. It also had to really stay competitive at the Art Directors Guild. But at the Art Directors Guild, where it was with, it was in the period category. Wicked was in the fantasy category last night at Art Directors. Even in the period category, they went with Nosferatu. So that's a sign that, yeah, the art directors and everybody in that particular branch, at least, across these award shows and stuff, it seems like everybody's just going with Wicked. So, yeah. So, yeah, that is one spot I'm probably going to switch to Wicked at the Oscars and just probably pick it to win both the design categories. For the music category, we have original score here going to The Brutalist. I do expect this one to carry over, though. I think this is a spot where The Brutalist can keep winning. So, yep, that's my pick there. For makeup, this also went to The Substance. The Substance seems to have won this category everywhere it's gone. So, yeah, I expect The Substance to repeat. It also had a couple major wins at the Makeup Guild the other night. Also, I believe was last night. So, I think Substance is really primed to win that. The sound category here at BAFTA went to Dune Part 2, and this was what I had picked. We did not have a Complete Unknown nominated here, which was my kind of surprise pick at the, or no, I shouldn't say surprise pick. It's my outsider pick at the Oscars. I'm tempted to stick with it. It might be one of those that I just get wrong. I'm kind of willing to take the risk, but I don't know, because, again, this is a spot where it's like, okay, Wicked could very easily win this at the Oscars. They could still give it to Dune Part 2, because I believe the first Dune also won the sound category at the Oscars that year, so it's like they could just repeat there. That being said, again, Dune Part 2 did perform better here at BAFTA than it did at the Oscars. It got 2 more nominations here than it did at the Oscars, so I would again expect that this is a spot where, again, I'd probably go with Wicked or Complete Unknown over Dune Part 2 at the Oscars. Visual effects went to Dune Part 2 as well here at BAFTA. I again expect that to carry over. This is probably going to be the major spot for it to win. Otherwise, Conclave also won for Best British Film. We talked about that. I had that one picked. First time since, I believe, we have to go back to 3 Billboards, first time that category and Best Film have overlapped, which was actually also, I believe, the last time we saw the director picture split, because we had Guillermo del Toro winning for director that year, and Three Billboards winning for Best Film. So first time in 7 years. Okay. Interesting. And then the last one is the Rising Star Award. Even though I didn't go with the popular pick, it was still another pick that I did not have that won. David Johnson, who I did not really have on my radar. So, yep, I'm just fucked in that category. I just cannot just cannot get that category right. The only other thing that was kind of interesting that I read was that we did have Wander to Wonder win for Best British Short Animation. It's also a nominee at the Oscars. And I think Wander to Wonder, it was one of those, I've looked at it, it's been one of those, like, really, really tempting second or third place ones to put ahead at the Oscars. I think I'm going to go ahead and do it for now. I might switch back before the Oscars. There'll be some time and stuff, but yeah, I kind of like the idea of that one being a little bit of a slight upset at the Oscars. Because again, I go back to the year the first Dune. We had a slight upset in that category, the windshield wiper winning over whatever the hell the favorite was that year. But yeah, and that was the one category I got wrong. So I'm like, I might just switch to that one. But yeah. So yeah, Best Picture, I don't think with the win here today for Conclave, I don't think it's enough to totally throw a wrench into it to the point where I'm like, okay, I don't know what's winning anymore. Like, it's not to that point, but it's certainly, this was a spot where I think Anora, if it had won for either Best Director or Best Film today, it could have been like okay, Anora just kind of slammed the door on movies like The Brutalist. It slammed the door on Conclave. It slammed the door on A Complete Unknown and some of these other ones to win Best Picture. The director category, I'm just to recap here, I'm still thinking Sean Baker with the popularity of Anora with DGA. I think that's going to be enough for him to win. Again, though, there is, with the win here still, it is still roughly like a 25% chance that Brady can come back to win at the Oscars. It is, again, the bigger directorial achievement in most people's eyes, which, again, doesn't always mean the same thing to everybody. But I think, again, if this race was happening 6, 7, 8 years ago, I think Brady would have won DGA running away. I think it would have been not even close. But, again, I'm going to be really interested to hear because I don't know how much the BAFTA voters were also affected by the word going around about the use of AI with The Brutalist as well. I don't know how big a splash that made with potentially some of the British voters. And, again, I'm kind of waiting to see, okay, are there any exposés by any of the Ann Thompsons or Clayton Davises or any of those folks out in L.A. where they can go around, talk to some of the voters and say, okay, this is why we didn't pick, particularly if you're a voter that would be eligible to vote for DGA and PGA, like, why were you not going with The Brutalist? I kind of want to hear some of those thoughts and everything. And we'll get, Gold Derby also traditionally does some blind Oscar voters kind of thing where they'll just kind of pick one of the Oscar voters, not give their name, just kind of, again, that's thus the blind part of it, they're not naming them, and just say, here, this was what they picked, this is some of their thoughts, if they wanted to include them, with why they picked certain winners in certain categories and stuff. Yep. But, yeah, otherwise, again, I feel like three of the four acting categories feel pretty safe. It's just going to be best, kind of like last year, it's going to be like Best Actress that's going to be a little up in the air, with SAG really going to be a big determiner this next week. So, yeah. I think that's all I got for today. So we will come back here later on this week, and we'll go ahead and give some final predictions for SAG. And if there's any other news, anything else that happens that makes me say, okay, maybe we've got some stuff to talk about that has affected one or two categories or something, then, yeah, we'll talk about it then.